Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and James Smith, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's New York Field Office, have announced the indictment of Idin Dalpour for wire fraud. Dalpour is accused of orchestrating a multi-year Ponzi scheme that scammed investors out of at least $43 million. Authorities arrested him this morning, and he will appear in Manhattan federal court before Judge Barbara Moses. U.S. Attorney Williams stated that Dalpour deceived investors by promising substantial returns through investments in a Las Vegas hospitality business and a cryptocurrency trading operation. However, these ventures were fraudulent, and Dalpour was merely running a Ponzi scheme, paying older investors with money from new ones. Instead of fulfilling his investment promises, he spent the funds on personal luxuries, including gambling away $1.7 million and covering his children's private school tuition. His fraudulent actions have now led to federal charges. FBI Assistant Director Smith emphasized that Dalpour's deception, spanning 4 years, relied on false assurances of high returns. Rather than investing the funds, he misused them to pay off debts and fund his extravagant lifestyle. The FBI remains committed to ensuring financial integrity and preventing individuals from exploiting others for personal gain. According to the indictment, between 2020 and April 2024, Dalpour operated a Ponzi scheme under the guise of an entity he controlled, Entity One, claiming it had business interests in Las Vegas hospitality and cryptocurrency trading. He falsely assured investors that their money was used for these ventures, but in reality, he was recycling funds to keep up the illusion of profitability. For the Las Vegas hospitality scheme, Dalpour misrepresented Entity One's partnerships with a major hotel and a management company, claiming that the business earned revenue by renting condominiums to tourists and selling entertainment packages. He even asserted that he owned shares in sports stadiums and profited from concession sales. To support these lies, he fabricated contracts, emails, and bank statements, as well as falsely claiming that investments were insured or held in escrow. Similarly, in the cryptocurrency scheme, Dalpour misled investors by saying he purchased digital assets at wholesale and resold them for profit. He promised lucrative returns and falsely assured investors their money was protected by insurance. However, none of these claims were true. Instead, he used the funds to sustain his Ponzi scheme and finance personal indulgences, such as $1.7 million in gambling losses, hundreds of thousands of dollars in luxury purchases, and his children's private school tuition. When investors sought to withdraw their money, Dalpour continued his deception. He fabricated excuses, such as alleging that the hotel's servers had been hacked and that a Nevada bank was temporarily holding funds. In reality, his company had no account with the bank in question. In November 2023, some victims directly confronted Dalpour. During this conversation, he openly admitted to fabricating contracts, bank records, and misleading investors about the legitimacy of the Las Vegas hospitality business. He acknowledged his wrongdoing, even stating, "You can put me in jail now." Types of fraud in the case Dalpour's fraudulent scheme encompassed multiple forms of deception, including 1. Ponzi scheme. He used funds from new investors to pay returns to earlier investors, creating the illusion of a profitable business. 2. Wire fraud. He transmitted false information electronically to deceive investors. 3. False representation. He fabricated business contracts, emails, and bank statements to lend credibility to his fraudulent claims. 4. Investment fraud. He falsely promised high returns on investments that did not actually exist. 5. Misuse of funds. Instead of investing as promised, he diverted investor money for personal expenses, including gambling and luxury purchases. 6. Obstruction and deception. When confronted, he continued lying to investors about non-existent frozen funds and fabricated security measures. How to detect such fraudulent schemes. Investors can take several steps to identify and avoid similar scams. 1. Verify business claims. Conduct independent research on the company and its partnerships. Confirm with hotels, management companies, or banks whether they actually have agreements with the entity in question. Check official government or financial regulatory records for business legitimacy. 2. Beware of unrealistic promises. Any investment guaranteeing high returns with little or no risk is a red flag. Compare the promised returns with industry norms. 42% annual interest is highly suspicious. Third request, transparent financial statements. Demand audited financial statements from reputable third-party auditors. Look for discrepancies, inconsistencies, or unusual cash flow patterns. 4. Be skeptical of exclusivity and urgency. Scammers often pressure victims to invest quickly before they miss out. Legitimate investments provide time for due diligence without coercion. 5. Confirm insurance and escrow claims. If an investment claims funds are insured, ask for written proof from a legitimate insurance provider. Verify escrow accounts directly with the institution supposedly holding the funds. 6. Look for independent reviews and reports. Search for investor complaints, lawsuits, or negative press coverage. Speak to financial advisors or professionals who can analyze the investment's credibility. 7. Analyze fund usage. Legitimate businesses clearly outline how investor money will be used. If funds are used to pay off earlier investors rather than for business operations, it signals a Ponzi scheme. 8. Examine communication and documentation. Scammers often fabricate documents. Double-check emails, contracts, and bank statements with relevant institutions. Watch out for inconsistencies in communication, such as vague responses or refusal to provide written proof. By applying these due diligence steps, investors can better protect themselves from falling victim to fraudulent schemes like the one orchestrated by Idin Dalpour.